This is cool. So are you guys ever not busy?
Normally by the end of the night, we usually become like a walk-on.
So like 7, 6.
Yeah, I think the last safari is like 7 o'clock. So
Okay.
from 6 to 7.
Okay, good to know.
Jumbo, folks. How you doing down there? Jumbo, everybody. Jumbo, folks.
Everybody waves.
Jumbo, everyone, and welcome to Kilimanjaro Safari. In order to keep your wait time to a minimum, we ask that you please keep your group together. Keep up with the party in front of you and fill in all the available space. It is not necessary to form a single file line. If you are traveling with a stroller, please have children and valuables unloaded before you reach our stroller parking area. If you are traveling with someone in a scooter or wheelchair,
Safari time. Safari time. Y'all ready?
If you're on the right, watch your hands, arms, feet, and legs towards your toes.
I'm gonna be like, whoop.
Everybody say, thanks, Cameron.
Thanks, Cameron.
Welcome. My name is Will, and I'll be your guide to the Giraffes Wildlife Reserve. Now, while we're out there, it's important everybody is staying seated at all times. Keep it all hands, arms, feet, and legs inside the vehicle. Please refrain from eating or drinking, as well as trying to reach or call out to these animals. I'll try to get their attention in any way, because we are their guests. We just got to be mindful of that.
I'll try to get their
We're keeping it
attention.
all in mind, volume levels and conversation to a minimum. We're gonna have a pretty good time today. You guys ready? Excited? Yeah, solid. Cool. Me too. Me too. I love doing this. Getting to see these animals are awesome. Check out the spotting guide over here. Here's got a list of animals we might see out on the reserve due to differences in their sleeping habits and migration patterns. We are not seeing every single one of those. And we may find animals not listed up there, but whatever the case is, usually have pretty good luck. Now we're getting started in the little Aturi rainforest. The animals in the Aturi rely on their natural camouflage to stay safe from
He has the
predators.
coolest
That can
job.
make it tough for us to spot, but we tell you, we're not even really in the rainforest, and we're already off to a strong start. If you can see looking off to the front right, some gorgeous orange antelopes up on that hill. In just a moment, we're going to get a really good look at the left-hand side. These are called bongos. Now, bongos, in my opinion, one of the prettiest animals on the planet, are critically endangered. Nicknamed the ghost of the forest because they're so reclusive that they are rarely seen. I see a lot of people looking off to the right-hand side. Those are okapis. They've got a few different patterns going on there for them. Anybody want to name one of those patterns for me? Zebra, right? Zebra, yeah, the Z word.
Z word.
A lot of people confuse okapis to be relatives of zebras because of their sort of hardy pants. They are not. That's the only known living relative of a giraffe, but that because of their shared skeletal structures and long prehensile.
Oh, they are
Like
huge.
They used to pull leaves off of bushes and trees. Look at her just looking at us over the tree there. A little bit further down, this tall, lanky gray antelope.
Oh,
is a
wow,
greater
antelope.
kudu. Greater kudu are actually one of the tallest African antelopes, standing about 55 inches right there at her shoulders. She weighs about 700 pounds. Now, kudu can jump up to 8 feet straight into the air from a standstill. It's incredible. There are lots of different videos of them jumping like 6-foot fences. That's crazy. Imagine opening your back door and just walking out and just see one and they're just jumping over your fence. That would be crazy. Kudus are what's called a dimorphic species, which means the males and females look differently. That was a female. It's pretty clear to see. She didn't have any horns. She got that spotting guide over your head. All the way to either end is an image of a male kudu. They're really famous for their beautiful, long, spiral horns. Now, push it along just a little bit further. On the right-hand side in the bushes up here is a saddle-billed stork. Get a great look in a minute. But then to the left, across the water, is a beautiful black rhino laying down.
Oh, there's a rhino over there.
Black rhinos, oh, here's the saddle-bill on the right. Black rhino's are actually
Like
kind
blending
of small
in.
for rhino standards, only weighing about 3,000 pounds. Just like the okapi's tongue, their upper lips are prehensile or finger-like for the same thing. Now, feel free to say it with me if you know where I'm taking this. Nobody needs a rhino horn except for a rhino, right? Yeah. Still being pushed for their horns because they're made out of keratin. Some folks believe keratin to have medicinal properties. It doesn't. It's the same stuff in our fingernails and hair. There's no significance in medicine whatsoever, and despite the fact that we know that, African and Asian rhino populations continue to decline. This is called the horn trade. Something we'll talk about in much greater detail further down the road. Now, poaching is not the only problem in Central African rainforests. Many different species here are critically endangered. They struggle every day. One of their biggest problems is the mining of a mineral called coltan. Now, coltan is also found in parts of the savanna, as well as in the Amazon. And does anybody back there know what it's used in? It's our electronics of all shapes and sizes, from our cell phones all the way up to solar panels. These mines result in habitat loss and pollution. They also hurt the communities around them. A great way to to help animals and people is just by recycling.
Taking a little bath.
Which is really easy. And for smaller devices, it's absolutely free at many electronic stores. I know some of you saw the hippo back there, but for some others, it's tough to see. So, you know, Hakuna Matata, right? No worries. We push forward to start locking this paint off on the left-hand side. Float of Nile hippos, also a colony of pinkback pelicans further down. Now, can anybody back there tell me what elephant tusks are made of?
Ivory?
Ivory, thank you. Yeah. Anybody know what hippo tusks are made of? Or that hippos have tusks? No, so you may have never realized it, but the big long teeth hippos have right in the front of their mouths, we have seen in pictures or movies or just in life, are ivory tusks, just like in at least here are these pinkback pelicans on the left-hand side. With the great work going to stop the poaching of elephants, hippos are becoming a target. There is an alternative. The hippo or elephant or warthog or any other animal's ivory called a tagua nut grows on a palm tree in South America. When it's polished, tagua looks and feels just like ivory. Now on our left-hand side is one of the world's best moths. Nile crocodiles are very protective.
Oh, they're pretty big.
Over their young. Under no circumstance
pretty big.
do you ever get between the two. Now, despite having one of the strongest bites on Earth, they are delicate with their eggs when they carry them in their mouths, even roll them on their tongues without cracking. Is actually going to be giraffes. Now, these plains are starting to open themselves up to us. I don't see any giraffes yet, but you don't have to see them right off the bat to know they live here. And that's not because of the frequent, giraffic jams that happen on this reserve. It's actually because of the giraffic jam, right? I really stuck my neck out for that one. I thought maybe a couple more. Okay, I'm sorry. Thanks.
A for effort.
One for thanks. I'll take it. Guys, I'm sorry. No, I'm just messing around. The giveaways in the treetops. Check those out as we head down the hill. They all started almost exactly the same height because giraffes prune the trees, meaning they eat the leaves lower down of those canopies and over trees learn not to put their leaves where giraffes can reach them. The leaves lower down of those canopies and over trees learn not to put their leaves where giraffes can reach them. So they start growing them higher. These trees, they pollinate them as well. They're actually the best pollinator, and that's a total accident. They move tree to tree every couple minutes for up to 22 hours a day. Each time taking a face full of pollen with it. It runs off in the canopy of every tree they go to, and that's how they pollinate. Lots of great benefits for plants when they're being pollinated, which we'll get into later on. Given, it's including zebras and wildebeest, so we're getting a really good look at them up ahead. Later on, I want to talk even more about giraffes. Before we do, here we go. Keep it on the left hand side. The shade of that small tree and directly behind it to the left of the wall in the back are some animals hanging out. Anybody know what those are?
I can't even see them.
These are
I'm blind.
dogs. They were pulled up. It's going to be easier to see them up ahead.
Oh, there they are. Yeah, there they are. They're taking a nap.
On Earth with incredible endurance and communication skills, they can succeed up to 90% of their hunts. They're about 5 times more successful than lions. These guys are fascinating.
They are
They're
chilling.
endangered. About 100 years ago, there were nearly a half million of them running wild. Today, there's fewer than 5,000. They have gone extinct in 25 sub-Saharan countries. One of their biggest problems we've talked about is coltan mining. A great way we help them is by recycling those old electronics. On the left-hand side, I'm actually going to start all the way in the back with this dark brown sable antelope. They are the emblem of the Harambe Wildlife Reserve, one of the only antelope to stand their ground and fight back against predators, using their backwards-facing horns to protect themselves. Those are mountain zebras, and now let's check out these wildebeest. A lot of people know what
They killed
wildebeest
Mufasa.
but they don't know how important wildebeest are. They're actually the next keystone species in the savanna. And that's because of how densely populated they are. They'll herd together groups of 1 million or more when you have that many big gray animals running through the same area, the hooves really tear up the ground. That turns the soil and actually encourages new plant growth. Now, they don't just turn that soil, they fertilize it too, right? I mean, think about it. Big animals eat a lot. Just like everybody else, what goes in must come out. Wildebeest pump a lot of nutrients onto that freshly turned ground, so that next generation of grass can grow. Now, folks, I'm still not seeing any giraffes, but if it's okay with y'all, I'm going to keep talking about it. Does that sound good? So,
Yes,
okay,
sir.
cool. You guys honestly didn't really have much of a choice in it. I like to bring it in. Anyway, guys, everybody loves giraffes. Super famous, well-liked animals. Very few people know just how endangered they are. Over the last 100 years or so, they have suffered what's been called a silent extinction. Meaning on the conservation side of things, there's been very little research into them. When you're a conservationist, you want to start working with a new animal, one of the most important things you need to know is how many different types of that animal exist, how many different species of them there are. It wasn't until 2016 that we realized there's more than one species of giraffe. We've known this for 6 years, but they've been declining for over 100. A study revealed at least 4 independent species. All off to our left-hand side is the tallest of those 4, the Maasai giraffe.
Eating.
Now, historically,
As tall as a tree.
Maasai giraffe have been found throughout the African continent. Today, they're only in a few Eastern African countries. Kenya and Tanzania primarily. They face lots of different issues. Habitat loss from human activities like mining, as well as logging and other forms of development. You can see some Ankole cattle on the right-hand side. It's called the Watusi cattle, just barely their horns underneath those palm trees. The actual number of giraffe species is still being debated. Across however many there are, there's fewer than 120,000 individuals left in the African continent. They have gone extinct in 7 African countries, and in places they still exist. We've seen declines of local populations as much as 95%. Giraffes are in really bad shape. They really need some help. Now, the savannah is so delicately balanced when the residents are doing well, but if we lose a major player here, you know, a keystone, like the giraffes or the wildebeest, then the savannah is going to fall apart. It could cease to exist altogether, and that's why we focus on helping keystones. It helps everybody else around them. I'll give you a great tool you can use later on to help any animal you want. But in the meantime, we're coming into elephant country, and we're passing a great example of how the ellie, straight ahead, shapes the savannah through their own as a keystone. While the giraffes are busy pruning and pollinating trees, ellies can knock trees right down. This can create a path, a lot like the road we're driving down, connects to a watering hole. So all sorts of animals
This
find
way.
that water and stay hydrated. Now, the impact an elephant has on the savannah cannot be overstated. They've been equated to wildfire. The big reason for that is the end we're looking at right now. Anybody back there able to tell me why an elephant's behind is so important to the savannah?
No idea.
Think about it. What's it doing? They're pooping, right? Ellies are
The fermented, the soil.
meaning when they eat fruit, they don't digest those seeds. It actually passes through the elephant hole and ends up in probably, here we go on the right. The best way to put it is a big pile of fertilizer. About 150 pounds every day from every elephant.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a lot, right? If all goes well, that seed can grow into a whole new fruit tree, provide extra food and shade for the animals around it, but it also maintains genetic diversity for the plants and the cells, keeps them pretty healthy and resistant to disease, which helps keep the animals that eat those plants healthy, which helps keep the intelligent. They're socially conscious with an amazing memory, and that's all important for their conservation. A few years ago, Kenyan farmers were having an issue with elephants raiding their farms and eating up their crops. They reached out to the Disney Conservation Fund for some help. The DCF got to work, came through in a really big way, discovering African elephants are afraid of Africanized honeybees.
Oh, wow.
It's tough to believe, right? Like, elephants are massive and bees are tiny, and elephants are also a pachyderm. Basically, their skin is thicker than a bee is. Bees really shouldn't cause too many problems with these enormous creatures, right? But a lot like us, that super, super thick skin, also super sensitive. They're all the way in the back on the left-hand side now. Elephants can feel pinpricks and even mosquito bites. Imagine a bee sting in their trunk. Be a lot like a bee sting in your nose. Anybody back there all right with that? No, right? No, you shouldn't be. Ellies don't like it either. There's actually a saying: an elephant never forgets. Their memories are so good when they go somewhere like a farm and find something they don't like. such as those bees, are going to remember where that was, tell all their other elephant friends about it, and then try to never go back. So with that information, we put up beehive fences along the sides of those farms, and that works perfectly. It helps the farmers out because it saves their crops and gives them a new one in the honey that the bees are making. More crops means more money.
The bees keep
That
the
extra
elephants
income will be a
away.
nice sort of boost for those farmers.
Can't really
Now the
see.
bees are also going to pollinate the farmers' crops, keeping those plants healthier, stronger, more resistant to disease, and pollination also happens to make the food that they grow taste just a little better. And of course, the fences aren't just helping people, they're helping Ellies too, because it keeps them away from people. And as I'm sure a lot of us know, when humans and wildlife cross paths, it's not always a good outcome. So everybody gets to stay safe. Oh, there's wildebeest again on the right hand side. One more look at them.
Oh, my bad.
Now folks, up ahead, coming out of this turn, you're going to want to keep your eyes on the left still, because we're going to start to see some birds. And before we talk about those birds, just take note of the island they have. It's really cool. Might be familiar to some of y'all. Here we go on the left.
Flamingos.
You guys, you see it? Yeah, right. Also a massive bull elephant all the way in the back. Keep your eyes on him too. Greater flamingos are the largest and lightest shade of pink out of all flamingos, and they don't hatch pink. They hatch gray and black in their trademark color over the first couple years of their lives, eating brine shrimp and red algae that are full of something called beta carotene. It's the carotene in their diet that gives them their color. Now that sounds an awful lot like the keratin we talked about earlier in those rhino horns, but those are two very, very different things. We're coming into white rhino territory now, and up ahead we are going to be seeing southern white rhinos, who I'll talk about in a moment. But I'm actually, oh, look at him on the left.
Elephant right
I'm going to
there.
talk about an animal that we're not going to be seeing anytime soon first, and that's the northern white rhino. Now, we're not going to get to see northern white rhinos because they are quite literally on the brink of extinction. Does anybody back there know how many northern white rhinos exist today?
50.
Less than 50. There are two.
What?
Yeah. They're both very well protected on a reserve in Kenya with brilliant minds working around the clock trying to figure out how to use a southern white rhino as a surrogate mother to carry and give birth to a whole new northern white rhino calf that's never been done before. But there are so many great beacons of hope for northern white rhinos, and one of them is their southern counterpart. You can see this calf here on the right hand side too. Wow, that's a picture right there, guys. Look at that. In 1982, rhinoceros went extinct in the country of Uganda and remained extinct there for almost 30 years until Animal Kingdom worked with a few other facilities to introduce rhinos that were born in human care into the Ugandan wild. Two rhinos that grew up right here on this little reserve in the middle of Walt Disney World outside of Orlando, Florida, live in Uganda today.
Wow.
In the wild. Wow was right. They've successfully reproduced there twice.
That is
For
awesome.
one of the first times
Oh,
ever,
look at him.
we're seeing reintroduced rhinoceros can rebuild wild populations. Now, it takes
Taking
them
a
a
nap.
very, very long time, but slowly and steadily, the rhinos are returning to Uganda. It's just a matter of time until
Taking a
they're
nap.
back for gold, for good, rather. Now, this all bodes really, really well for northern white rhinos, but it's going to take a while to get them to the point of reintroduction. So we have to look at a different direction for another animal to serve as a source of hope. We go on the right for
Another one.
the northern white rhino. And that animal's on the left-hand side. So at the top of the hill, all the way towards the right edge, are a couple cheetahs laying down at the base of the
Cheetahs.
tree.
Oh, yep, all the way. Is these laying down?
Cheetahs and rhinos, obviously, very different animals. Doesn't take away from the fact that the cheetah is one of the only wild mammals that have already successfully given birth using
Behind
a
that
surrogate
fence.
mother. It's an incredible story, and if the cheetah can do it, why can't the rhino? Up ahead, you will see a water buck on the left-hand side. Enjoy looking at them. I'm going to keep talking about cheetahs because they're endangered themselves. There is a great way that you can help cheetahs or rhinos or really any animal you want, and that's just by going online and doing your own research. There is an animal out there for each one, and that'll just kind of get you going. You know, could light a fire and you become your absolute favorite. Just an example is going to be my favorite animal, which are rhinos. I think rhinos are incredible, and I want to encourage each one of you to find your rhino, the animal that just does it for you. Learn what you can about them and their conservation, and then start to spread the word, because education is one of the most powerful tools conservationists use to help animals, and you don't even have to be a conservationist to make a difference. Anybody can help. On the right-hand side, these were the rhinos that were walking away from us earlier, and of course that ostrich walking out. We're actually going to swing around these rocks and get a different look at them here in just a moment.
This way, but his body was like this. Looks like Pride Rock.
Coming around this turn, it's really important to keep an eye on our left-hand side. Let's see. Okay, so I'm going to stop right here, explain where the warthog is, and then we're all going to look for it. So you're going to get a nice big window through these bushes on the left and look just straight through it all the way in the back, laying down facing us, like where that fence is in the back. He's just laying down right along that. Pretty tough to see back there. Warthogs are one of the largest burrowing animals with 2 sets of tusks. There are actually a couple more laying down behind the left-hand big tree.
Oh, I see him. Yeah,
Their large
laying
upper
down.
tusks are great for digging. Those are their shovels, but the smaller lower ones are much sharper, and that's what they'll use for self-defense. Here's this ostrich again. You can see these rhinos. You also see some ostrich eggs here on the right. Oh, guys, on the right. Look all the way back there. You know this dirt road that's kind of parallel to us? Just up the hill on the bushes, you might just see a little bit of brown and white, little bit of movement, tiniest bit of movement over there. That is probably the most special animal I've ever seen. It's called a bontebok. Has anybody back there ever heard of it? Got the spotting guide over your head to get a sense of what they really look like. Bottom row, 4th or 5th from either end. Bonteboks, you talk about a beacon of hope. He's that right there. They're going to bring us back about 100 years to South Africa when there were just 17 of them left. A farmer woke up one morning to find that last herd had come onto his farm overnight. They made their way into a pen. He was holding his sheep in. Now, however they got inside that fence, they couldn't get out the same way. Now, couldn't just jump the fence because of one really important sort of evolutionary quirk of theirs. Unlike many other antelope, like the kudu we talked about earlier, bontebok can't jump at all. So they were